What up, everybody? I'm Kevin, and you're joining Minorly Important, the podcast where we talk about minor league sports. I'm joined here by my co-hosts, Colin Scholl. Colin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. You know, enjoying this nice weather out that we had for a while, so it makes working outside a little bit better than working in the cold.
Yeah. And then we're also joined by Dylan Little. Dylan, how you doing, man?
What's up? I'm doing good, man. Awesome to see everybody's faces, even though we see each other's faces all the time. But the peeps get to put faces to names, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
How about you? How you doing?
And then I'm doing good. Doing good, can't complain. And then we are also joined by none other than Ryan Baker. Ryan, what's going on, man?
Ryan.
Oh, hey, Kevin. Thanks for having me. I'm just enjoying a Friday night, and we just finished our first full week of unified track practice. So,
Yeah.
Gonna relax this weekend and have some fun.
Nice.
Sweet.
Nice. Awesome. Well, as Dylan pointed out, everybody, we are now got video. Everybody, round of applause. We finally got video. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So we now, you get to see our faces, and we get to, we'll be on YouTube now. We are going to continue this and open up a Rumble page now. So all of our stadium tours, as well as every episode, will be on Rumble. If you use that platform, and then we're also going to post some shorts and stuff to Instagram now. So we'll have an Instagram page. So go like us on everything: Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, everything.
Pretty much everything.
Anywhere you can think.
Yep, we are there. All right, now tonight we are going to cover the G League. And Dylan, what you got for us in the G League in the standings? Pull those standings up, because now we can show them to you.
Look at that. Wait for it. It's coming. And I don't see it yet. There it is. Okay. So in the East, we got the Capital City Go-Go at 17-9. In second, we got Greensboro Swarm at 18-11. Third is the Maine Celtics at also 18-11, so that's fun. Then it's fourth, the word that I messed up last episode. Osceola. Help me again.
Osceola.
Hey, I can read. Anyway,
Osceola.
Osceola Magic, 16-10. Fifth is Westchester Knicks, 17-12. And our very own Indiana Mad Ants, 16-12. And then we can... then we're going to go to the West, sir. We got the Western Conference. First is the Stockton Kings, 18-9. Austin Spurs, 18-9. In second.
Sorry,
Third,
Dylan.
You're good, man. The Salt Lake City Stars, 17-11. Fourth is the Valley Suns, 16-12. Fifth is Oklahoma City Blue, 15-12. And sixth, we're rounding out with the Rio Grande Valley, I almost said Snipers, Vipers. I apologize.
That is a good name, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Rio Grande Valley Snipers.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'd prefer that name.
Awkward,
Alright.
and I apologize.
Yeah. So, all right. And then, so in the G League, if you didn't notice, in the East, everything just is super tight. There's not much room there's not much difference between first and second, or sixth. So, we should be good, in for a treat coming in towards playoff times to see how everybody stacks up.
Sure.
All right. Well, then let's go over to Colin. You got the ECHL?
Yes. Yes, I have the ECHL. Okay, so first place, of course, in the North, we have Troy Rivieras Lions, 39-12. Second, Norfolk Admirals at 34-21. Wheeling Nailers at 33-20, which, if you guys remember in the earlier episodes of the podcast, these guys were dominating the entire league for like a month straight.
Yep.
and now they're down at third. So
Yeah.
that's good to see him come back down. Shane was right; they came back down to earth after all those players got called up.
Yeah,
Fourth,
he did call that.
we have Reading Royals, 25 and 22. Fifth, Wooster Railers, 27 and 26. And sixth place is the Maine Mariners at 23 and 31. Which, between sixth and first, is quite a bit of a jump, because these guys just broke into the 20s, while Troy Rivieras is at almost 40.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty big gap between third place and between the top three and the bottom three, the big gap. And now we'll go to the south. Of course, your Florida Everblades, 39 and 12 in first place. South Carolina Stingrays in second, 40 and 14. And the only reason the South Carolina Stingrays are in second is because of Florida has more overtime losses than what South Carolina does. And the points, they're neck and neck, 85-86. Jacksonville Icemen, 37 and 16 at third place. Fourth is Orlando Solar Bears, 31 and 20. Fifth is the Atlanta Gladiators at 26 and 26. And sixth is Savannah Ghost Pirates, coolest name in the ECHL, 25 and 28. Now, let's look at the West in the Central. All right.
Look at that.
Toledo Walleye, boo, in
boo.
first place, 37 and 14. Our very own Fort Wayne Comets,
Let's
34
go.
and 18. So the last time we were doing this, they were almost in fourth place, but they had a really good couple weeks, and they jumped all the way up to second. So that's always solid. And then in third place, we have the Iowa Heartlanders, 31 and 18. Fourth place, the Bloomington Bison at 25 and 27. 5 is the Kalamazoo K-Wings at 25 and 27, which, if you guys haven't seen yet, that's the game Kevin and I went to, and they absolutely demolished them 5-0. So if you haven't seen that stadium tour against that game, you should probably go check it out.
Oh, my chocolate. I was there, too. Might not have been in the same section, but golly.
Yeah. Well, Dylan, you were more important than us because you were in the suites.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good game. Anyway.
And then in sixth place is the Indy Fuel at 23 and 25. And I'm sure they're still enjoying that new facility, though, even though they're in sixth place.
Yep. And,
so let's look.
I do have tickets to next Saturday, not tomorrow, but next Saturday, tickets to the Comets and the Bison. So we'll get to see the Bison up close and personal. I'm sure we'll have some stuff on our social.
Yeah. All right. In the Mountain Division, number 1, Kansas City Mavericks, Daniel Amesbury, 37 and 15. Tulsa Oilers in second, 33 and 17. Number 3, the cool Tahoe Night Monsters, 34 and 20. Number 4, Wichita Thunder, 32 and 20. 5, Idaho Steelheads, 29 and 19, which is actually a really solid record for fifth place.
Yeah.
All these guys are somewhat close to each other. Rapid City Rush in sixth place, 25 and 24, which the last 3 just kind of fall off drastically.
Yeah.
Allen's 14 and 34, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And that's all I have for the ECHL.
All right. Well, I think it's really heating up. I mean, hats off to the Stingrays. Florida is just a powerhouse. They're a freaking wagon, and for the Stingrays to be that close, I mean, it's gonna make an interesting East. The East is going to be interesting. You throw the Nailers in there, if they can go back to how they were playing at the beginning, I think it's going to be a really close battle. The Kelly Cup playoffs this year are going to be fun, and we're going to bring you on the ride.
Heck yeah.
Division playoffs is going to be crazy, though, because everybody's so neck and neck in that division.
Yep. All right, Ryan. And now you're gonna take us through the AHL right now?
Absolutely. We are going to look right here at the AHL. We got in the Atlantic Division, first place, the Hershey Bears. Second place, Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. Third place, the Charlotte Checkers. And in fourth, the Providence Bruins. Going down to the north, we have the Laval Rocket in first, the Rochester Americans coming up in second, the Toronto Marlies in third, and the Cleveland Monsters in fourth. Moving on down to the Central, we got Milwaukee Admirals leading the Central, Texas Stars coming right up behind them in second place, Grand Rapids Griffins, and followed by the Chicago Wolves in fourth. Going down to the Pacific, we have the Colorado Eagles in first place, Coachella Valley Firebirds in second, Ontario Reign in third, and the Calgary Wranglers in fourth. And, my favorite San Diego Gulls down there in ninth, but they're on their way. They're on their way. They're
gonna do it. They're underdogs.
They're only 16 points out.
There you go.
They're gonna pull a St. Louis Blues and go from last place to winning the Stanley Cup.
That's right. They're only 16 points out right now.
Yeah, I got it. All right, and then Ryan, you were telling us about a fight that happened.
Yeah, so looking back, the ECHL Department of Player Safety on Wednesday this week announced the following suspensions resulting from ECHL Game 798 Iowa at Bloomington on March 7th. This was a couple weeks ago. Iowa's Nico Blockman has been suspended for 7 additional games as a result of his match penalty for fighting and game misconduct for leaving the player's bench to join an altercation at the 20th minute mark of the first period.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So when you say altercation, does that mean something happened in the crowd?
No, I believe just like that just joining a fight that was taking place.
Yeah,
so what I'm wondering is if he wasn't on the bench, they start scrapping after the horn blows and Nico comes over the boards and says, I want to get me some too. I'd really like to see a video of this. I have to look that up, see if we can get it, maybe play it on our podcast, who knows.
Put it up,
So Blockman missed Iowa's game at Bloomington on March 8th and will miss just a few more games coming up. Bloomington, we have Michael Ribideau has been suspended for 4 additional games as a result of his game misconduct for leaving the player's bench to join an altercation at 20 minutes of the first period. So it sounds like we had a little scrap and a couple guys come off the bench. In ECHL Barnes is not uncommon for them to have to exit on like the side of the arena. Yep. So I'm wondering if that happened to be a we're skating off the ice and now we're fighting type thing.
Like that's always. I feel like if they get rid of that, it takes away old time hockey though too.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those like we don't know if that's the case obviously, but I mean I could see that escalating pretty quick if it was both teams have to use a similar exit.
It just seems like I don't know. I love the fact that players from both teams left the bench to fight.
Yes.
Like, yeah. You don't see that very often anymore. Players have been pretty good about controlling themselves, but you don't see that.
I mean, sometimes you just have to throw down, like...
Yeah. So, all right. Well, then that'll bring us to our main topic tonight. We were talking and looking through, and one thing that we realized, it's the 5-year anniversary of when COVID became a global pandemic. And this is, it really affected minor league sports. I know for Dylan, Colin, and I, when it became a global pandemic, it really hit, and we were ready to have a game and an end of season party and everything, and then it just stopped. Like everything else in the world, it cut off. And I remember getting the email.
Was not very cash money.
I remember getting the email from our controller about everything. Like, nope, no game, no party, no nothing. And we had to really, it was tough. It was a very, very tough time. And But yeah, it was just crazy. I know, Ryan, you were teaching. What was that like for your guys' sports, like, and everything?
So, it came in. That was our spring season. So, that was right at the start of Unified Track. I believe we had a week or two of practices in, and then next thing you know, our school's getting shut down. Um, so we were going to be on just an extended spring break. They came out and said we're going to make it to spring break. Then we're going to try to come back after like 3 weeks. Hopefully, this whole COVID thing just blows over. So then, next thing you know, sitting at home you know, watching the news, and Holcomb comes out and says school's done for the year, and obviously that means sports were done too. So I mean, a lot of kids lost their senior season, which coming from a small high school, losing your senior season, a lot of those kids don't get to go to college, so like they never got a true end to their athletic career.
Yeah.
I just remember like our athletic director had this really great idea. Chris Rhodes had a really great idea to have shirts made that were like it was like your team name and then better together. And then all the coaches had to go out to the high school parking lot, and we all had to be like 6 feet apart. And the athletes did like a drive-through thing, and we like handed them their shirts through their windows, and we're like, or through the window of their vehicle, and was like, hey, sorry our season got canceled. Thanks for being part of the team. The nice thing is everyone got a varsity letter, because obviously there was no qualification for it. So there were some positives, like, kids who may not have gotten a varsity letter in the first place got a varsity letter. Kind of sounds like a participation trophy, but, obviously no one participated, so there was no participation. So it just really sucked. Like, we lost a lot. As a coach, it was like, crap. Like, that's a whole season we just lost. How many of these, like, kids are going to come back out and play the next year? And I can tell you what, though, the fall was way worse. You had a single kid on your team come down positive with COVID. Your whole team was quarantined for 2 weeks from school, including yourself. So
yeah, and didn't some schools have to forfeit if that happened?
Yeah, so DeKalb's football team had one player get COVID. The whole team got shut down for 2 weeks. IHSAA rule says you have to practice for a week before you can play again if you miss 10 consecutive days. So we missed 3 games.
Dang.
But no, luckily our flag football team avoided COVID that year. So that was a plus. Like, everyone got to play the whole season. We didn't lose anybody. Unfortunately, the football team and it seemed every other team got shut down except for us, which was just a blessing. So I didn't really have to deal with it much.
Good job
Yeah.
staying 6 feet apart, though.
Hey,
Yeah.
we coaching in a mask too, man. You don't realize how hard that is. Because we had to wear a mask on the bus. We had to wear a mask everywhere we went. It was rough. Like, trying to coach, and referees want to get anywhere near you because they're all scared too. And it's just like, how do we do this? So I mean, it was fun. We had to do like check in and check out every day. Like, do you have a fever? Do you have a headache? Do you have a cough? Like, do you have the sniffles? Like, you're just asking these medical questions to every athlete that comes in for practice that day. And if they answered yes, like, if you had a headache, it was fall. Everybody had a headache.
Right.
Coming back to school, but you had to be sent home and you were out for 2 weeks unless you had a negative test.
And I remember trying to figure out like how to be involved while we couldn't be, because the NBA G League shut down and didn't finish their season. Then the next season they were in a bubble, which meant we weren't going to I don't know how many times people asked, are you getting sent to the bubble to go play for the games? No, we're not. They're taking as few people as possible, like, down to the bubble. Like, that's all. I mean, for health and safety reasons, trying to limit the amount of possibilities of infection. But I remember, and Colin and Dylan, you'll remember us like in a group chat trying to figure out ways of still connecting with fans and being involved. I know several of us used our logged in as the Drumlines Facebook page, and on the Facebook live streams in the bubble, we would start typing in our chants, and like just typing defense and then the clap emoji and defense.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun doing that. And then Dylan, you got to do the first Stick Trick Tuesday.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was the every other Tuesday we would drop a video on teaching how to do stick tricks, and Dylan got to do some cool ones. I forget which ones you did, but it was pretty cool. And then we also did what was called Mad Beat Monday. And so we would teach you part of our repertoire and walk it through and play it at like 50% speed, 75% speed, and 100% speed. So people at home could learn how to play some of our grooves and stuff like that and still connect with fans. And I know other aspects of the Mad Ants did that as well. They did they did these like skills skills learning things with Ron Howard. Ron Howard helped do a lot of that, and it was a really cool thing to get people involved. But it was just, I remember trying to learn hey, are we doing this next season? Can I have auditions? If we have auditions, what do we have to do? What all like I remember we had to run auditions the year after the bubble with masks on. It was not trying to do that and shout instructions with a mask on was not the most convenient thing in the world. But we did what we had to, and but I had work and all that, trying to fight through that and figure out all of that stuff, and it was just a really, really crazy time. And minor league sports just kind of stood still for a while because
all sports did, really.
Yeah. No, I mean every sport tried to do a bubble. I mean that's when the Comets won the cup. Was that year? And that was. I remember going to games and having to sit like so spread out and so but it was cool to be like finally go back out and start doing things and being involved. And if you notice, minor league sports teams probably picked back up. They were the first things to start getting people back out because it brought people together.
Yeah, I ended up going to every Comet game that year, and it was great because, like you said, everything was so spread out. And the row in front of you was empty, behind you was empty, and next to you was empty. So, me being a kind of wider guy in those Coliseum seats, I really enjoyed that extra space. So, that season was my favorite. Number one, because the Comets won the cup.
Yeah.
And number two, I had plenty of room the whole season. No lines for concessions or restrooms.
How long were you guys out of work for during all that?
2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, man.
About a week for me.
2. It was 2 for us.
Shoot. So,
right, we all know how long you were out.
No, okay, so we're gonna, so teaching world, I was at a very rural school at the time. Our students did not have a lot of internet. And I mean rural, I mean, like, we're in the middle of nowhere. So we turned in packets on Mondays to be mailed to the kids. Went back to school to pick them up on Fridays. So I did not work for a couple months, and it was like driving me nuts. Now, the real story is, we did that, and I was still able to do my duties as in that profession, but I went and worked full time in a second, because I sold appliances at a small mom and pop appliance store in the area, and I was working there full time because they had a lot of older guys that worked there who were scared of COVID. So, I actually was able to save up a bunch and, um, yeah, be able to pay for my wedding and honeymoon that way, working 2 jobs.
Man, I remember we were getting ready to start signing on with Fort Wayne FC, and that actually got cut for a season. And so that first season, nobody, to honor the players that were signed that didn't get to play, they didn't let anybody wear the number 20, and they kind of retired that, and that was the fans' number, as they put it. So if you bought a jersey from their shop, it had the number 20 on it. But they said no player would do that because that was reserved for the players that didn't get to play. So
Smart.
yeah, and but it was kind of hard, and then it was cool to come back that next season. Their first inaugural season was the year after, and it was a lot of fun. Colin, you were part of that group. Dylan,
The pregame was so much fun.
oh, dude. So that first year back, we were in charge of the smoke bombs that first season,
Right.
and the I remember one of our guys brought in a big one because we were like, hey, these are it's not filling up the stands. So he brought in the big one, and dude, blue was everywhere because we use these blue smoke bombs. It was freaking everywhere.
Didn't somebody get burnt from the smoke bombs because they were holding the bucket from the bottom?
The bucket would get hot. Eric, yeah, I think one of our guys, his hands started to get really hot, and he's like, oh, and had to put it down. But then Amanda must not have any feeling in her fingers because she lifted the bucket up and just held it, and she's like, I don't feel anything. Yeah,
Good times.
Yep.
You see what I did there? I stole Dylan's punchline. Good times.
That is my punchline. Good times.
Yeah, but it's a.
Oh goodness.
It was just a crazy time for everything. Let's see. I remember the NHL, they moved to a bubble, and that was crazy. We had the NBA did a bubble, and then came back, and I wish James was here tonight because talking about all of how a front office would have handled a lot of that. Like, how do you juggle that? How do you juggle how many fans to have? How many do you how are you getting rules from your league and rules from your city and your state and your county? I mean, every level of government, what do we have to do? And just dealing with all of that was just crazy. I know from just being from a manager standpoint for our department, it was crazy, and it was hard to deal with. Yeah, it's just I'm really glad that sports made it through.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What?
We need to go through the.
Oh yeah. So.
Corrections.
With that, last episode we discussed the line brawl that happened in the APHL between the Summit City Distillers and the Toledo Mobsters.
Big boo.
I had a couple of facts that were a little backwards, and I just want to issue a correction. The first one is that a stick did not hit a fan. It flew into the crowd, but it did not hit a fan. Thankfully, yes. The other one is I said that the player coach said some sexist things to Taylor in between periods. That was not what happened. It was the owner who said the sexist things.
Almost worse.
Which is worse.
Yes. So,
Yeah, I'm really glad. I'm actually really glad we found that part out because this makes it even better. But
Yeah, right.
so with
they
that
should be
being
banned from the
said,
league. But it's whatever.
I apologize for the errors, and I have corrected them. Thank you.
You're welcome, Toledo.
Speaking
Boo
of,
still.
I do want to say that we were pretty hard on the city of Toledo last episode.
Boo. Sorry.
They have a great
But-
zoo.
They do. We said that last episode.
We did. We did.
So, but I will say this about the city of Toledo, like all the crap we give about the walleye, they are a good organization and a class act. The fans, like Colin has said, are super friendly and cool to hang out with.
Never had a bad reaction from a fan. He actually invited us to go out to the bar after the game, and the Comets lost. So he bought us all beers after that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, I want to say Toledo for the walleye organization. Whereas we might jab you a little bit because of the rivalry. We do love you. And it's a good city.
And Evan Rankin, who is a retired Toledo Walleye player, happens to be my favorite ECHL player of all time. So, just saying.
If anybody knows Evan Rankin, get Ryan in touch with him because he would love that.
We're Facebook friends. It's
Oh, okay. So
Well, tag
and
him.
Brad.
We'll make
you're
this a
friends
clip.
with the equipment manager?
Brad the trainer. Remember, he would always throw us the smelling salts.
Oh, yeah. And he
I kept
actually gave you a puck.
Well, I kept trying to give him a beer, and he's like, I can't. And I'm like, drink the beer. And Evan Rankin gave me a puck. Unfortunately, there was a small child sitting behind me. And then I had that moment of, I don't want to give this puck away because I really want to keep this puck. But the small child is like already like geared up, like, I'm getting this puck because I'm a small child. I'm like, I have to do this. Like, I battled for like 30 seconds. Like, it feels like everything went slow motion from me grabbing the puck to me like pausing and then turning. I'm like, I should just like run. Like, should I just run with this puck?
Ryan, it sounds like you had a fight with your conscience.
Yeah, I
for
was.
like
I was
30
going back and
seconds.
forth.
All
But
right.
then, like, fast forward to real time, I handed the puck to the little girl and turned around and, like, pouted for a little bit. But, well, then he got mad in a later shift and he broke his stick. And I'm like, hey, Evan, can I have your stick? And he was, like, still mad because he had a bad shift or whatever. He's like, no. And I'm like, okay, sorry, man. Then Brad threw me a smelling salt, so it was all fine.
All right. So, I guess we could go through with that. What does anybody have a player interaction from a visiting team that was a positive?
Besides Ryan's story of Evan Rankin, not really, no.
Yeah,
I'll go. I remember. How many of you guys remember Taco Fall, who played for the Boston Celtics?
Yeah.
I remember being in the Coliseum, standing there. I believe I was talking to Chris Taylor, the GM. We were just chatting, and all of a sudden, this guy walks over, taps me on the shoulder, and goes, "Excuse me, could you tell me where the visiting locker room is?" And I remember, and I turned, and then went and looked up, and there's Taco Fall, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's that way." And he's like, "Thank you." And
Was he
Chris
a first round pick?
I don't remember.
Call.
I think so.
I remember if you...
Because everybody was freaking out. Like, as soon as they heard Taco Fall was on the roster for the
It's
Mad Ants.
because he's huge.
Tanked.
Yeah, he was like 7'6" or whatever. He's like Yao
Yeah.
Ming height.
Giant of a man.
It's crazy.
Colin, didn't you have positive interactions with Doug Carr or Hildebrandt?
Oh yeah, Doug Carr and Jake Hildebrand.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, we always gave them crap because they were goaltenders for the opposite team, obviously. But like, we actually went down to the away team's locker rooms because Derek Carr played for the Wheeling Nailers and
Doug Carr, not
Doug Carr, and
Derek
then
Carr.
Derek was a quarterback.
Oops, Doug, Derek, D's.
David.
And then Hildebrand played for the Indy Fuel at the time. So anytime those two teams would play, we would always go down to the away team locker room and always say, "Hey, what's up? Good game tonight." And they'd be like, "Oh, thanks, man." So, not a lot to say after they lost, so I don't blame them.
And say, Mad Ants wise, a lot of the guys didn't like me because I yelled at them a lot, so I didn't have a lot of good interactions.
Yeah,
Many.
Giannis's brother called me not so nice things.
Yeah.
Which one?
Whichever one played for the Bucks.
Thalen? Something, I forget. Thasius? Something like that.
Yeah, he was part of it. Was
Giannis's brother's fine.
Yeah, I think it was his younger brother.
The youngest, yeah, I think.
Yeah,
So-
the youngest.
When you guys were drumming, did you ever get to see, like, has anybody you've watched play on the opposing team ended up being like an all-star?
The guy who Matt McClung, the three-time dunk champion.
The dunk dude that jumps over the bar? Oh, man.
Yep, we
That
did
would've
get
been
to see him.
And didn't Victor Oladipo play for the Mad Ants for like one game?
He came down.
Practiced?
Yeah, he practiced. So technically,
Yeah,
somewhere there is a locker plaque that has the Mad Ants with the number 4. I remember because Walt Lemon Jr. also had 4 that year, and I think he had to give that number up for
practice
for Vic. Yeah.
I miss
Wow.
Victor. He was such a good basketball player.
Victor Oladipo was good. Walt Lemon Jr. That was a positive interaction because he was an opposing player who had played for us.
Yeah, well, naturally. Yeah.
And he ate dinner with us at the Pacers party too.
Yeah. Opposing coach, Steve Gansey, again another former Mad Ant who coached against us. We welcomed him back, but then reminded him that everything we said to him tonight was not personal; it was business. That was fun. Riling up the opposing players though was fun. I remember I would always tell, whether we won or lost, I would tell the other team as they were leaving and we were packing stuff up into the tunnel, safe travels. And most of them would look at me and go, thanks. Like, weren't you just telling me I suck at my job?
Yeah.
Oh, man. It was a lot of fun times. It was really good. But let's see. Trying to think of some other ones.
Glenn Robinson on.
Oh yes, Glenn Robinson the third. He played.
Yep.
Oh wait, no, he didn't. Sorry, he didn't play for the Mad Ants.
I thought he not even like one. I thought like one game.
Nope. Well, maybe. I mean, we need stat checkers for this.
Yeah. So I know like the Tin Caps had oh, what's his name? Pitched for him last year. Gosh. I know the Tin Caps have had some, like the Wizards had, like Torrey Hunter and all those guys started down there. AJ Przinsky, Jake Peavy, Alex Rodriguez's first home run. I know we mentioned that on like the first show. Yeah, fun fact, Alex Rodriguez first home run. But you know, there's a lot of big name players that have come through Fort Wayne. Mark Pryor, for those Cubs fans, he was solid for a few years. He pitched
Did he play for
a couple
South Bend?
games down there. He did. Oh, Yu Darvish last year. So Yu Darvish pitches for the San Diego Padres. I think he's still with the Padres. For those of you who don't know Yu Darvish, he's one of the top. I mean, statistically not one of the top pitchers in baseball, but I mean the guy has 6 pitches that are solid pitches. Most pitchers have like 3 or 4. This dude has 6. He comes down and just gets lit up last year in Fort Wayne. I mean, it was a rehab start. Like, he's not there trying to paint corners and crap like that. He's there seeing if he can throw the baseball to the catcher's glove. But I think he got chased in the first. So that was big last year.
Speaking of the Tin Caps, did you guys see the jersey they released today?
Yeah,
I
it's
did
cool. Yeah.
actually.
The
That was
Manzana Luchadors.
Mm.
It
is
kind of
Spanish.
reminds me of. It kind of reminds the way they have all the pictures set up, like unveiling it and revealing it. Kind of reminds me of like 7-Up or Sprite. It's really
Yeah.
cool. The colors are awesome.
Yeah. It manzana apples, or I'm sorry, manzanas is apples in Spanish, and luchador is fighter, so they are calling themselves the Apple Fighters, which I think
Nice.
is super cool. And the logo is sweet. They've done this gimmick before. I wouldn't say gimmick. They've done this uniform for a few years now, but this is the first time they went with the yellow and green look, and it looks super
It
cool.
is sweet.
And I love it.
Blends
Yeah,
so
if,
nice.
Yep.
if you went to a Tin Caps game the last couple of years and went to the team store in the back, they had all their luchador stuff. So I'm just glad, they picked a good name, because when they picked the Tin Caps over the alternative name,
Yeah.
that it
What
could
were
have
the
been.
names that were in the running?
Well, I
besides-
believe somebody was pushing really hard for them to be the Potheads. But
I mean, if you really think about it, it could be their
no,
ultimate-
because it was a
alter
pot,
ego.
like
Right.
wearing
Yeah.
a pot on the head.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and then I think that was more of like a joke running, but like
It had to be.
that was.
But
a
everybody's
chance
gonna
they had.
vote for it because
Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah.
if they left it to a community vote, we would not complete. We would not complete the main quest. We're side questing that bad boy and picking the potheads.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
would you guys be okay if they decided to keep the Wizards?
oh
in
yeah,
that new stadium?
100%.
I wish they would have kept the
Man,
Wizards.
Same.
Stinger the Dragon.
It was
No, Wayne the Wizard. Wayne the Wizard
I
was
like
the best
Dinger, though.
mascot.
I don't know, Kevin.
Wayne
the
the Wizard
dragon
was good.
the
Wayne.
dragon was pretty cool.
Okay,
See,
here was my favorite part about Memorial Stadium.
awesome.
You could go out to right field, go behind the fence, and pick up baseballs for days.
Yeah.
Because when people hit home runs in batting practice or during games, they went into the net, because if they went over, they hit cars on the road there. But then they would just slip through the net. Like, there were baseballs for days. They're all waterlogged, but man, I just remember as a little kid we'd go pick those up. But no, Wizards, I would not have been sad if they came back, or if they would have kept it the Wizards.
they
I
do like a throwback jersey all the time with that.
Mhm.
And then we are in the works of getting some a guest from their front office. We are not going to go too deep into that, but we're also working on some cool stuff with them. So we will be talking about the Tin Caps. Bouncing back to what Ryan was saying, the famous people that came through there, Fernando Tatis Jr., who was on the cover of MLB The Show, played for the Tin Caps.
That one hurts. So anyone who knows me, a big White Sox fan, came up in the White Sox farm system. White Sox, we've had a great history, right? Like 2005 won the World Series. It's all been downhill from there. Last year set the record for the worst record in baseball history.
But
Well,
the White Sox always have a
the-
great farm team, though.
Well, the White Sox decide we're going to trade Fernando Tatis Jr. for Jake Shields. Let me tell you, who remembers Jake Shields as a White Sox pitcher? Nobody. Only the White Sox fans that are ticked off because we lost Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, me being a Fort Wayne Tin Caps fan, I'm like, cool, we get Fernando. But down inside, I was like, the White Sox just made a mistake that's going to make them lose a record number of games. And look what happened. They lost a record number of games.
Yep.
Yep.
Who was that good rookie that played on the Reds?
Ellie De La Cruz?
Yeah, Ellie De La Cruz. Yeah.
Man, let me tell you, that guy, he's a G.
Ryan's. This is an upsetting episode for Ryan.
Yeah. No, it is
COVID,
baseball
all the
season.
players the White Sox lost.
No, it's baseball season, guys. We're in March. Hey, you know what? Best part about it, I can go to a White Sox game, sit 2 rows up for $40. Okay, we did that last summer. We went to the Frank Thomas bobblehead night, and I know we're getting off task because we're getting Major League. But I mean, you might as well call the White Sox a minor league team with how they played last year. I don't think they would beat many AAA teams. And even looking at their starting lineup for this year, I'm like, I can name 6 people on their whole starting lineup and starting rotation. I mean, good Lord, it was cheaper to go to a White Sox game than it was to go. Well, I guess it was a little more expensive because parking was expensive, but I mean, you could have went to a White Sox game for the same price you went to a Tin Caps game.
I will say this though, Ryan. The one time we went to Guaranteed Rate Field to watch the White Sox, what's his name hit a grand slam that night. Who was it? I think his first name was Yogi. Does that ring any bells?
Who did they play?
I can't remember who they
Oh
played.
man,
but...
that was a. I know the White Sox got smacked that night. Here's the thing: I've been to plenty of White Sox games, seen lots of White Sox losses. The one that stands out the most is when Alfonso Soriano hit that home run and I almost caught the ball. But, no.
But I had a great time at Guaranteed Rate Field, way more than I've had at like Chicago Cubs games when we went.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we talk about minor league sports as family friendly and affordable. So is White Sox games.
Yeah.
I mean, super affordable. You can park for like $10 if you want to sit up top. It's $5 to get in, and then most of the time they're like, "Hey, this section's closed, so you got to go find a seat downstairs." It's like, "Oh, good, there's 10,000 of them."
Never have that problem at Guaranteed Rate Field.
You mean Wrigley?
Or Wrigley, yeah.
You just might
they could.
You just might sit behind a pole.
They could be bad, horrible, the worst team in MLB, and it will still be packed. You want to know why?
Go Cubs,
Cubs
go.
faithful.
Go Cubs,
Yes.
go. Fly the W. Let's go. Anyway.
Hey Colin, remember the Ducks beat the Blackhawks and we were leaving and I was singing "Go Ducks Go."
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
We're leaving the what's that, the United Center?
Yeah.
And I'm singing "Go Ducks Go," and I'm getting a lot of terrible look from Blackhawks fans.
Well, to be fair, we were getting a lot of chirps at us when we were walking out of the building.
Not as much as Detroit.
Well, yeah, they did not like you in Detroit.
That guy, like, after the game, so the Ducks lose, and this guy tries to like come up and try to fight me because I'm wearing a Ducks jersey. I'm like, no, I'm not going to jail in Detroit, Michigan.
Like, he walked up to us and he went straight to you.
Yeah,
he walked right up to us.
I've made a lot of poor decisions in my life, but going to jail in Detroit, Michigan is not something I'm gonna do.
No. Oh, man.
Good times.
Yeah. I remember wearing the Comets jersey to the Red Wings Blue Jackets game that we went to, Colin and Ryan, and somebody goes, "Is that a Comets jersey?" And I know I'm in Ohio, which we're directly between Toledo and Cincinnati, so I'm sitting here going, "Great." And the dude's like, "I'm from Fort Wayne. Great jersey."
And Spencer Martin started that game.
Exactly.
I think it was Spencer Martin. Yeah.
So cool.
We give Ohio a lot of crap, right? Like Toledo for all their minor league sports. So actually, me being a teacher, I teach elementary, and so I learn a lot of new words. So like everybody's heard of like skibbity toilet and Riz and crap like that, right? Well, apparently Ohio is a new word for bad.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Like they're like, that sweatshirt's Ohio. I'm like, what? And they're like, no, they gotta change that sweatshirt. That's Ohio. I'm like, okay, well, coming back to our podcast, I'm like, this is all making sense. We're ahead of the trend, guys. We started
Toledo.
something. Right?
Man.
Well, that'd be better if you're like, oh, that's so Toledo. But, no, just Ohio in general. Like, I learned Ohio means bad. I was like, okay, sounds good.
Well,
just like all their drivers, but you know what? That's different fact.
All right. Well, with that, guys, I think that's all we've got for tonight. Want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching our first episode where we have video. You get to see our bright, smiling faces, and we appreciate it. With that, I am going to one closing question. What is your favorite moment as a little kid from a minor league sports game? Ryan, you can go
I'll go.
first.
Jeez.
Ryan's got a lot of memories.
Well, one that comes back as far as hockey. There was a hockey player for the Comets who shares the same name as me. Same first and last name at one point. He played for the Comets, and there was a night where he was not playing. And my brother noticed that he was a pregame scratch, so he actually took me over to meet him. And obviously, his name was Ryan Baker, who's really cool. So just getting to meet him, just a player of the Comets, and having the same name as me. If we're going baseball, just getting my first foul ball was like the greatest moment ever. Like,
that's cool.
Everyone looks, and then, yeah. Unfortunately, in minor league football with the Freedom, I never got a football because in arena football, if it goes in the stands, you get to keep it. They treat it like baseball and hockey. So, yeah.
That would have been cool.
I missed the Fort Wayne
Getting my
Freedom.
first foul ball was the best thing ever.
Dylan?
I don't got many memories of minor league sports all that much. I know, like, we grew up going to the Wizards games and stuff. So I would say just going to the games in general, growing up. And yeah, I mean, we went to Comets games here and there, but I grew up in a non-sports family for the most part. We're all musicians. Besides my dad.
Yeah.
My dad can't play an instrument, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I got a love for basketball pretty young. I was probably, I don't know, middle school-ish when I started loving, Kentucky basketball. But
Once you
yeah,
saw how
man.
many championships they've won.
Yeah.
All right.
Goodness.
Cool.
But yeah, that's about it. Sorry. I'm boring.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Colin, what about you, bud?
Fort Wayne Comets wise, it'd probably have to be Steve Fletcher's retirement game for the Comets. That one was pretty big. And the one thing I do remember, they put him in like the last minute of the game. He sat the bench the entire time. Probably because he's, not of age to play a full game out there. But,
Yeah.
Baseball wise, would probably first Wizards game. I don't remember much of it, but all I can remember is the wizard mascot scared me a little bit because I thought he was crazy looking.
Yeah.
So, the very fond memories of me being a little scared from the wizard mascot. And I mean, basketball, it probably just, I didn't go to a lot of Mad Ants games until I was on the drum line. So, probably that first game we were on the sideline, like the actual sideline by the away team bench, was probably my favorite. And we got to call that home, and we called it the Anthill for the rest of the year. So,
well, for me, I really enjoyed when I was a little kid. I loved playing basketball, but was not very good. I'm short, as my little league coach once said. I am a center and a point guard's body. Because I would fight for rebounds, but I could never win it because kids that were taller than me were winning that. But my dad knew this, and my dad had some friends, and back in the day, we had the Fort Wayne Fury. This is before the Mad Ants and all of that. And when I got diagnosed with diabetes, my dad's friend got the entire team to sign a basketball, like one of their game balls, and gave it to me. And so I have that basketball that is signed by the entire Fort Wayne Freedom, or sorry, not Freedom, the Fury. And that has a couple of, like, I want to say, like, college basketball Hall of Famers. I don't remember which one, but my dad was like, there's some pretty big names on there. And then I remember that, and it was like, oh wow, that group of people would do that for me when I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and it meant a lot to me, and that really impacted me. That like, oh, minor league sports is cool, and I shared the Tim Kostick story from the Wizards, I believe on episode 1, and then again when we talked to Tim Bauman, those two were really impactful moments in my life. And really grew me to really like minor league sports. So, yeah, that's those are mine.
Also, shout out to the comments for inviting Jason, the fan who got harassed at the game.
Heck yeah, that was so uncalled for.
Yeah, uncalled for, and it just makes the comments a better organization for doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
So,
well, and then
did
you see the comments brought the kid that was in a wheelchair and always wanted to skate? That 2 players at the family skate on Sunday. Yeah,
yep, that's another reason why.
Class act. But, all right, well, guys, it's been fun. We enjoyed this. Thanks again for watching. We can say watching now too. Listening and watching. Yeah. So till next time, Colin, what do we say?
Cue the music.
Let's go.
See you guys.
See y'all.
See ya. Bye.
Peace.